Welcome to the Building Sense for Life podcast. I'm Jacques Van Eren, financial advisor and director of NUMA. In each episode, I'll be joined by a guest as we explore key topics like insurance, investments, KiwiSaver, buying a home, and estate planning. Together, we'll unpack these subjects to help you build your financial sense and make informed decisions. Please note this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Let's dive in. Today we have Simon Fawkes with us. Simon is a specialist in AI transformation, education and strategy who helps organizations to identify the opportunities and risks of AI implementation. With over 20 years of business coaching experience, including strategy and marketing for high-tech exporters, Simon helps leaders to develop new innovations and deliver strategic objectives through the use of AI. A recognized norm challenger, Simon has been praised for his ability to stretch people's thinking and has assisted organizations in realizing the potential of AI to solve their core business problems. His teaching pedagogy is practical and hands-on, which helps the leaders grasp the concepts of using AI in the right way to support their strategies and develop future-ready plans. Welcome to the show, Simon, and thanks for coming on today. Do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, other than what the intro has been?
I came across AI just over a year ago, and one of the people who I follow and subscribe to his program woke up one morning and realized that his business was doomed. And that was because his service was providing brief summaries of business, and he was very good at doing that, taking about a day to read the book, produce a summary, and then create a video. Once ChatGPT 3.5, when it was launched, he could see that work could be done within a few clicks. So rather than panic, he decided, well, how could I use this new technology to come up with a new offering? And he did that in a day. Mind you, that this guy works very intensely, but it's more, say, a weekend. He was able to come up with something new, and that was the launch pad for the new business, which is now called the Simple Academy. And I'm one of 100 fractional executives around the globe who deliver AI black belt training, but also I'm a pioneer in my own modest way in the use and adoption of AI. If you contrast this to the cathedrals of Europe that were built over hundreds of years, and where, say, a master stonemason would start training young guys, it could be his son, and over 20, 30 years, that young stonemason would start to become a master of his trade. Not much changed. AI has been described as the fourth industrial revolution. It is far more impactful than the invention of electricity. And my biggest concern is that the people who will get left behind and sadly wake up one day and find their business is no longer competitive. And I also have a concern for people who are used to fill manual roles, raising works, factories. Those jobs have gone. They've been exported to China. So how do you enable people with less formal qualifications to be part of this digital age? And it's more than just using a smartphone.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely a lot of change. I think there's something to be said about it being very similar to like the Industrial Revolution, where machines started taking over heavy labor work, and, in a way, AI is that thing that almost takes a lot of intellectual work off people, but like you can scale. And I think that's, if you're not tapping into that, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, people are concerned that AI will take their job. To some extent, that's true, but it's more that your job is at risk if there's someone less experienced but far better equipped to use AI. That AI-empowered person will outperform you.
Yeah. Do you think that there'll be, in that way around jobs, do you think that there'll be something where, there might be 10 people doing a job and AI can kind of cut that down to 2 or 3 people? Those 7 or 8 people that are now without a job based on AI, do you think that they are just going to be contributing more in terms of being able to, they now have something else that they can work on? So there's more people working on, say, the same problem. There's just
Yeah.
that there's not as
I,
many balls in one job, like one.
yeah. I think a better way to look at it is to say to someone, say it's you, Jack, what would happen if the 2 to 3 hours of drudgery you do each day was taken away from you? How would you feel? And the answer is you'd be
Yeah.
pleased. And if
Yeah.
you could then use that time saved to be more productive and do things that you either don't have time for, don't have the skills for, and the things that you perhaps don't even start because they're just way too complicated. So it's about making you more efficient, more effective, more engaged. Who laments the demise of the typing pool? Right? So, and you, in turn, if you're interviewing somebody, you don't ask them, can you type? Can you do basic functions on a computer? Do you know what one of these is? And can you use it? And what you may find is the people that you employ are making far better use of AI in their own time than they are in work time. And what you're doing is constraining them. And so they either just get disengaged and move on, or they pretend work is their own. So most of the work I now create is AI empowered. There's a huge difference between writing a short prompt, write a LinkedIn post about X, Y, and Z. That's not, that won't give you much. The quality will be very poor. If you're using AI, and I happen to use many ChatGPT as a super smart, super efficient assistant, you give a clear brief, you then give clear feedback, you will then get a good result that is a first draft to say it's a LinkedIn post. You then need to do some further refinement. So it's AI empowered, not AI written.
Not copy paste, but at least give you
Precisely.
that idea to start off with and put your own spin to it.
Yes. And with the later models, the ability to have an intelligent conversation is just mind blowing. And ChatGPT can come up with a document that might have taken you half a day to write. You still need to refine it. One of my favourite TV characters is Mr. Spock in Star Trek. He was exceptionally bright, but zero emotion. Right. So you could give him negative feedback.
Very logical too,
And
right? Is the
very,
main thing of
very
Spock. Yeah.
logical. So the two parts of this is, say you've got a new employee, you wouldn't just give a short instruction, write me a report on the impact of KiwiSaver changes for young couples. You'd say, right, here's some information about ACC. You'd you give that person various documents to read. You'd explain the type of output you're expecting. Here's some examples. And the person would say, oh, great, I now understand. So what do you want me to do now? And you would give a clear instruction. They come back a day later. You see their work. You bring out the red pen and you start to mark the various things that need to be improved or changed. You feel bad doing that, and your enthusiastic, super keen employee is distraught. With ChatGPT, sorry, let me redo that. And literally seconds later, you have a new
Everything.
prompt, a new output. But the point is that if you're not giving clear instructions, if you say, right, I don't like that, what can you do? If you say, put more emphasis on A and B, ignore D, it'll then do that. So it's
Yes.
only as good as the output, as the instructions you give. And over time, you learn how to interact with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think, when ChatGPT first came out, it almost seemed like magic. You
Yes,
ask it a question and it would pop this stuff out. And I think from there, people just assumed that if you gave it like a one sentence question prompt, it would be able to give you all this like magical output.
yes,
Somehow it's reading your mind. And I think like as that, it's matured a little bit and people have used it more, they realize that you have to be very specific. It's like the same as talking to someone and saying, these are the things I want you to do, and these are the outcomes I expect, and this is the inputs that I can give you to start off with. That makes such a difference in how it works, right? Because it's pushing it into like a specific area as opposed to
yes.
just,
So
like it's wide open.
Yes, so there are two aspects: the context, and then clear instructions, so that you're clear about what you want and, if necessary, what the output format should be.
So, what initially drew you to AI transformation and helping businesses adopt it? What was the big draw there and got you started in that?
Well, I'd pretty well hang up my hat as a business coach. So I've been there, done that. My background is relevant. I'm two strands. I was a structural engineer. So I qualified as a structural engineer in England, became a chartered engineer. I'm also a linguist, French and German, and my degree at Cambridge was in engineering and then modern language, which is most unusual. We can talk about that at another time.
Yeah.
But there are three, so that there's being a structural engineer, former, I call myself a reformed engineer. If you have reformed alcoholics, you can have reformed engineers. And so that gives the structure, the process, the systematic thinking, and you need that in interacting with ChatGPT or similar. But the other aspect is the languages. It's not that I use French and German in chatting ChatGPT, but studying languages, speaking those languages. I'm creative. I write well. I enjoy writing. So most engineers aren't good at writing. And the third aspect is I'm naturally curious. I love learning. And those three together made me realize very quickly, wow, this is something so powerful. It really is a once in a lifetime opportunity because AI is changing and developing at the most incredible rate. And if you try and join too late, the ship has sailed. And so I'm literally learning and applying new stuff each week. And one of the challenges is to say, okay, well, these are the things I will concentrate on, and these are the distractions that I won't.
In terms of AI?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I think, with AI at the moment, everything changes, I feel like almost on a weekly basis.
It does, yes.
What you knew last week doesn't really apply this week. And it'll be quite interesting to see where this podcast is in like 6 months' time,
Yes, well,
in terms of how things have changed.
I won't be making any bold predictions aside from saying in 6 months' time, we'll look back and say, wow, wasn't that, not, I wouldn't say the word crap, but wasn't that so unsophisticated and
rudimentary, basically.
Precisely, yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What you can't do is say, okay, well, don't worry, I'll wait 6 months and then I'll get on board, because your learning curve will be incredibly steep. You're better off making, be it ChatGPT or other, part of your daily routine, something that you do probably as your first port of call. And then as you use it, you become more competent, you learn a few new tricks, and then you're able to take advantage of the new enhancements, which, as you say, some of them roll out almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I feel like there's always something new. You learn one thing and then something happens, or, there's so many models nowadays and that's just looking at language models, but they all updating or they're coming out with something new, and, then Claude's ahead of ChatGPT, and then, you got DeepSeek that came out like yesterday, and those are, well, not yesterday, but this week.
Yes.
And it's, that's been so massive in the industry, or like just in the world, that's like wiped $1 trillion off share prices and all sorts of crazy things, which is insane for something like a new model coming out being such a big force. And I just think it shows how much AI is getting ingrained into everything, right? It's part of life now. I don't think it's ever going to go back.
You can't say we're going to just work in a non-AI space, because you'll find, well, sorry, your business will no longer be viable.
Do you think that's a little bit like similar to when computers really took off in like a business sense, whether that's like in offices and stuff like that? There were certain businesses that were obviously quick to jump onto getting that kind of tech into their businesses, and there were people that were keen to jump onto that. And businesses that took ages to implement computers, they obviously had some lag. There's still some people that haven't really caught up with computers. They just never use them, and so that like the whole thing feels foreign to them. Do you think it's like there's a similar comparison to draw with AI?
Yes. Well, this leads neatly into Geoffrey A. Moore and crossing the chasm. So this is about the diffusion of innovation, and it refers specifically to technology adoption, and it's over 20 years old. There's been a third edition, but the principles are the same. It's a bell curve. And so at the start, you have the innovators.
Yep.
Then you have the early adopters, the early majority, then the later majority, and the laggards. So what you described with regards to computers applies to bigger companies who are just very slow to use computers, had lots of restrictions. Well, the new crossing the chasm model, in my opinion, doesn't have any laggards.
Doesn't have any laggards.
Because they'll be in the graveyard. I'm serious.
Wow, that's rough.
Well, okay, but I mean,
no, I get it.
One question I ask is, well, Jack, when was the last time you had your manual typewriter serviced?
I haven't seen a manual typewriter probably in 20 years.
Nor me. But it's more if you're so resistant to change. Well, there are two things. Well, first thing, as a business, you'll be no longer competitive. The good staff you've got will leave because they don't want to be told, right, when you come to work, you switch off your smartphones, you disengage from the internet, and you only use our system. It's untenable. So the power of the Geoffrey Moore's model is when you're promoting a new technology, the messages you use to appeal to the innovators won't always resonate with the early, and likewise with it. So if you're in the late majority, you're a big company, you'll only look at software that's been used for, say, 2 or 3 years, widely accepted in the industry, and only then we say, okay, well, perhaps we should have a look at it too. That time frame is no longer viable. I'm not suggesting that everybody has to be an innovator or the early majority, but it's more the later you leave it, the more severe the potential consequences, because you will fall further behind your competitors.
Yeah, in a business sense, for sure.
Yes,
you can be way behind.
It could be. So that's where smaller companies can be nimble.
Adopt. And go for it.
They don't have the layers of management that are resistant to change.
Yes.
They don't have a chief information officer who is the barrier to anything new. I'm being slightly provocative, but not overly.
Yeah, for sure. There has to be some gatekeeper somewhere, right?
So this then leads to, okay, well, before you start, what is your AI policy? That's that. Okay, well, I can help you for that. But you need to have an AI policy that lays out clearly to you, your customers, stakeholders, here's how we are using AI. These are the safeguards. These are the internal checks and balances. And then you need to have a change management process to address the valid concerns of managers in particular about losing control. And this comes partly down to what type of managers do you employ. If you employ micromanagers, well, the first thing is you shouldn't. But anyway, if you do,
that's another story.
Yes, another story. But if the people are more of a micromanager mindset, they will stifle their staff, and the good ones will leave. Whereas if you're more of an enabler, you'll give guidelines, seek feedback, recognize that some things won't work, but something will be reviewed before it's used. And if something didn't work, question, okay, great. What did you learn? What do you suggest you do differently? And what can we as a company learn?
Where do you think, following that like adoption cycle, where do you think we are currently with AI? I know that's a very hard question to answer.
Well,
I don't know where I would pick it, but I'll let you go first and then I'll give you my answer.
Well, I'm certainly an early adopter.
Yep.
And some of the people and companies I'm working with are in the early, I'm definitely an innovator. Some of the companies I'm working with are early adopters because they're starting to see the power of AI and using it and being amazed like they can achieve. And too many of the rest are just in sleep mode, hoping this will go away and they can go back to the way they've always done things.
Yeah. Yeah, which isn't going to happen.
No.
Yeah. So do you think currently we're sitting at the early majority stage?
No.
Or not even there yet?
No. They're not just me, but
I guess from a business standpoint, it's probably like, let's quantify a little bit, because I think it might be a little bit hard to say overall, because I think individually there's probably a bit more penetration than in business.
Yeah, so the individuals will be more advanced than their employers. But I think most are still no more than the early adopter, because it's not yet enough. It's not mainstream enough to have the early majority still being formed.
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting through that early adopter phase, and slowly, or I say slowly. AI speak, probably getting to the majority stage quite quickly.
They're companies who are using AI that are AI driven, and they are using it well. And it's not for me to comment on how far along the curve they've got. What's more important is the companies I'm talking to, who are the stage of putting their toe in the water and wondering, should we do it? It's too scary. It's too risky. It gives crap results. It's a fad. They don't understand the power of it, and that's where some of my things I can demonstrate begin to make people aware. One lesson I've learnt is, before giving any demonstration, I say, fasten your seatbelts in a metaphorical way, because I've had people say, "Shit, this is amazing. I had no idea what AI could do. I can see now that I've just been playing around." And too many are playing around, not getting great results, and say, "Oh well, I'll just do something else."
Yeah, I remember the first time I did a ChatGPT prompt. It totally blew my mind. Still remember it, sitting in an office. We all typed there. We were like watching the screen.
Yes.
And all the stuff came out, and we were all just like, "How did it do that?" And then started asking it like really specific questions, and it still came up with really good answers. And this was like when ChatGPT had just kind of come out, and it was impressive, the stuff that it came out with. Yeah, I definitely understand the buckle your seatbelts and get ready to roll. I think you've got a couple of demos that you want to show us. Do you want to get into those?
For everyone listening or watching, fasten your seatbelts. Don't have any hot liquids or anything breakable in your hands. Preferably take a seat. So this is the hero's journey, which is a custom GPT that I built. What that means is that you can use ChatGPT and it'll answer your questions. But I've got the Plus plan, which is $20 per month. And that enables me to write my own GPTs, which are in effect mini programs. And the programming language is plain English, or whatever language you speak. There's nothing that looks like code.
I think the $20 well spent. $20 well spent for any person that wants to use it.
Yes, I'm not sure about the 200 for
the business plan.
Yes, but anyway, we're going to create a hero's journey. It's I sell product that helps Roll achieve results. So Jack, what do you like me to write?
We can go through insurance, I think. Life insurance. So I sell life insurance that helps, let's say, young professionals secure their futures.
Great. Yes.
So for anyone listening, it's kind of going through the dreams and of the ideal person, their fears. That's a lot of information. Going through suspicions, what are they skeptical about, enemies, what's working against them.
So what it's done, based on the simple starting point
Yep.
of I sell life insurance that helps young professionals secure their futures is produce a comprehensive ideal customer profile under the headings, as you've mentioned, dreams, past failures, fears, suspicions, enemies. If you were using this for real, you might want to refine this.
Yes, not just take the first. Yeah.
But this is starting from scratch. I didn't pre-program it about what you're doing. So it shows the power of AI. So we'll type, yes. We'll let it run and then explain it. Generally, it takes longer to explain than it does for it to actually do the
To
work.
write it out.
So the hero's journey is quite a powerful framework. So it describes the character as your ideal customer, problems they face, you as a guide or the trusted advisor. You present them with a plan, and then there's a call to action. So, and there's the avoid failure, the risk of waiting. So you think, well, that's pretty good. Can it be improved? The answer is yes. So what we're doing here is in effect asking ChatGPT to review its own work.
Oh, right. This is what this prompt is.
Yes.
What the next section is doing. Yeah.
So what it's doing is giving suggestions and explaining the changes in the same way as if someone experienced in marketing was reviewing this, they take a look, they make various changes, they make suggestions and say, what do you think? And they charge you quite a bit for it. So we're now going to go, yes.
So with that last bit, it's basically taking, because it's given you a few outputs and now it's using what the other outputs are to make revised changes to stuff that it's done before, right? That's
yes.
What
So
it's
when what my GPT does is it briefs the role of the marketing director and it gives it guidance as to what they should be doing as part of their review. And you could then compare the two. So it's well written. It's obvious. It ends with a small promo, that's by the by. So what I like about it is the quality of the output, and then it is particularly well written. Again, Jack, if you were using it, you would still want to refine some of the wording, but it's a damn good start. And the other thing
for sure.
is you could repeat this for baby boomers, for another distinct niche.
Yeah.
And you'd find
ideal client.
Yeah. And so most of us know, yes, we should have an ideal client avatar and all that thing, but generally it's just too difficult. And what you do is perhaps sort of ho-hum. It's not that great. Whereas here, within a few minutes, you've got one. At each stage, you could have written, I want more about this or emphasize that. Jack, as you would do as someone who's vastly experienced in this field, and you get an even better output. But then you say, right, I'd say to you, what are your top 3 or 5 segments?
Yeah. And you can go through them.
Put them side by side, and oh gosh, I can see there's some common themes.
Yeah.
But they're the statements that will resonate, be it with the young professionals, be it with the baby boomers or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's pretty powerful. Like, I guess, this is, you're talking about, it's language based for people listening, how to program your own GPT. So
Yes.
insight wise, how long did something like this take to program and refine and kind of get this quality of work coming out of it?
But this is part of the AI black belt training that I went through starting in March of last year. And so it's learning the fundamentals and then starting to writing more complex prompts, starting to write basic GPTs. This one is more advanced because you're asking ChatGPT to review its own work.
Yes.
So this is where you have people, and that's
yes.
And each person does their task well, and then they pass it over to the next one.
Yeah. And so you like contextualizing each step basically.
Yes.
So it's like, this is the account manager, this is the copywriter, and it's you prompting at that and saying the next step should be this person is looking at it from that view.
Yes. When so you're describing process and then giving instructions for each step in the process.
That's pretty powerful for lots of businesses in terms of what things that are very systematizable to follow this kind of process, not just in this instance where we're doing like a ideal client profile. You can do, I would assume, like stuff that people would be doing in a chain, right?
Yes.
And it can review itself.
As a rule of thumb, once you've got a certain level of competence, writing it can be a series of prompts, or you may want to turn it into a custom GPT, but similar. But doing it once, it's likely to take you less time than doing the task manually.
Yes.
So there's a time.
I mean, this would have taken like someone at least. If it was all those people involved and you were working with like an agency or something, or in a business, that would be a couple of weeks worth of work probably.
Yes, and a hefty bill. No, seriously. So the other thing...
That's $20 well spent already.
Yes. But the other thing is that we've all heard people say, oh, I'm too busy to delegate. If you're too busy to delegate, you'll never run out of things to do.
Yeah.
If you say, okay, here's a process, it's a bit fiddly, it's quite time consuming, but I can describe the steps and with help from ChatGPT improve a process to get that done with a few clicks. Once you've done that once, all you need to do, in my case, go back to the hero's journey and you create a new one. And it could be a refinement of what we've just done, or it could be sell plumbing equipment to small builders. AI knows your role, knows everything about your role, and that applies to every industry. So what we could do now is go on to the next one, which is, if I can get my mouse to behave itself. So this is you. So I sell insurance policies.
There's people, but yes, sell insurance. I like selling insurance. That's okay. It's okay. I guess there is a sales element to it, but I think it's always about like educating people. You provide insurance
advice, and your insurance is in life and
health insurance.
Okay, we'll just let it run, and then I'll explain what it's doing.
Yep.
So what it's done is create an 8x8 matrix. So it's got the categories and then 8 deliverables per category.
Right.
And it's done this as we saw it happening.
Yeah.
If I was to ask you, write down 64 things you do. So
I'd be thinking for a while, even though I did all the time.
Precisely. Okay. So if we were using this for real, you would then want to refine this because some things may not be that appropriate. But what we're going to do is ask you to pick one of these and something that relates to insurance and perhaps something that's more fiddly than straightforward.
Think of what one that would be good. Like we could do that customer testimonial collection plan.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you're not limited. For now, we're just going to do one, but you're not limited to one forever and a day. We'll let this run and then I'll explain. So what it's doing is listing the 10 main ways to use be it ChatGPT or any of the others. So the text image to text, text to file, voice to text. Just say to client, can you just please record your testimonial?
Yeah.
That's far easier.
Just send me a voice note.
Send me a voice note.
Yeah.
Okay, AI can monitor Google reviews, Facebook reviews, extract positive testimonials, file to text. Okay, you can generate personalized voicemail scripts. Voice to voice is one of my favorites, is being able to have a conversation with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do this. But what it's done is not just list the 10, it's given the context of how you could use it in your role.
Yeah. You want to
So,
explain a little bit about what it's done
yeah,
now?
so
Just for
for
people
each of
that can't
those
see.
steps, it's creating a plan. So we're going to create a customer testimonial collection plan, and the final deliverable should be a detailed document ready to be implemented. It's then giving the steps, the prompt. So why do you want this? I'm not asking you the question now, but it's more about, you need to be clear.
Yeah.
You don't just want to gather some testimonials. What's
Yeah.
the purpose?
What's the goal of the plan?
Precisely.
Yeah.
So do you want to increase credibility? Yes. Email templates. Yes. Okay. Anyway,
That's
so
cool stuff.
again, what you would do is you copy those into a separate document and then review and refine to suit your particular needs. But it's a damn sight better than starting with a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah.
So do this. So yes to the time study.
It's a little bit more time saved than 11.5 hours.
Anyway, I mean, it's showing you how much time you could save on each of the tasks. And it's also how AI helps.
Yeah.
Right? So what I type, yes. So it's now looking at your entire role. So you wouldn't be doing all of them straight away, but you can understand that, okay, if let's focus on client consultation, get that.
Yeah. So it's
working.
just spat out like I guess like a table with how you can save time using AI for all those.
Yes.
Is that the 8x8 grid that we originally started with?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're not going to save 70 hours in the first month, but if you work on it progressively, you can begin to see the power of saving time.
Yeah.
And so it comes back to what I said before. If you weren't doing 2 hours each day of fairly mundane work, how would you use the time you saved? And there's 3 ways that you could use this. So just work half the time, right? Which might appeal to you. Or you could double your business growth, or the one most people prefer is the strategic optimization, shift to high value activities. All right, so I think we'll stop that now. And you may unfasten your seatbelt.
And it's landed.
The plane has landed. We're in for another one shortly, but at least. So the main thing is let's just stop sharing. So it's giving 2 concrete examples, and in fact relevant to you, Jacques, as a financial advisor, to show the power of using, in this case it is ChatGPT, but it's the power of custom GPTs to perform in a consistent fashion tasks that you're going to be doing more than once.
Yeah, for sure. That just speeds everything up.
Well, it's easier, better, and faster.
That was so easy to do a lot of that stuff.
So, which of the 3 don't you like? From the answer, no, I like all 3. Well, you can have them 3, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think if you think about the half an hour or like say hour of time that you've put into creating those 2, or say it's 2 hours of time, but the amount of time that you save out of just being able to generate those things on demand is amazing. And if you can build those things into your business, whether it's, writing posts or, doing certain marketing things for you without you physically have to do everything, I mean, it's just such a time saver. ROI in terms of the amount of time you put into it and what you get out of it is huge.
Yes. And so if you think of a company, say you've got 10 employees and each person is saving up to half their time, what impact would that have? And you want to be both growing the business, but also it's more strategic, high value activities, not just doing mundane tasks quicker.
Yeah, it's not doing more of the same. You're getting AI to do some stuff, and then it's giving you the opportunity to do stuff that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's That was a very cool demonstration. I use AI all the time and I've learned a few things. So that's very cool.
So I wanted to, I'm just demonstrating. So I was initially reluctant to talk about DeepSeek.
I will go into that.
And one of my colleagues sent me some information to share with our technology networking group. And I thought, I need to look into this. So what we're going to do now is start screen sharing again. And people may want to refasten their seatbelts.
I haven't seen DeepSeek at all. I've not even really looked at it, so I have no idea what I'm in for.
So first of all, Notebook LM is a free Google app. There is a paid version, but I'm using the free one, and that for me is good enough. There is a limitation that you can only upload 50 sources, which for me isn't a limitation. 10 is about the most that I do. So what I did was...
Do you want to explain a little bit about what Notebook LM is and how it works?
It's a means of analyzing and interrogating sources. So what I did was I created a new notebook. You can then add a source, and I then uploaded various documents or reports that either been sent or I was aware of. And so with each one, it explains what is uploaded. And you don't need to worry about all the gobbledygook at the bottom of a web page, and it ignores it. So for each one, you can see all the information. Or how long would it take you and any human being to read through all of this and come up with a succinct summary? You could do it, but it's just you wouldn't do it. So
yeah, I think that's like one of the things of Notebook LM is it's taking a whole bunch of sources, and you can either kind of condense everything into like what they term as a study guide, or it can do a whole bunch of stuff. Even, I've used it for creating a timeline around certain things, and it's quite good at picking those out, and you can always reference what it's looking at, which is different to ChatGPT in that you can hover on the numbers and it will show you the relevant section that it's actually looked at.
So you know precisely where has this come from, and that's vital. So you can see
kind
this
of like an article, like if you were writing an article and you had little notes. It's kind of the same way that Notebook LM works.
Yes, a bookmark. Here's the source. So this one here has got a red, this cannot be imported. So what I did was I went to the video, went to the transcript, and just copy and pasted the transcript without the timing. Doesn't, it ignores all the rubbish. So what I then did was it gave me a very good summary. This was, I asked for a briefing doc, and that's what it gave me. I used that briefing doc as an input into ChatGPT to then write the first draft of my LinkedIn post, which I published this morning.
And you got quite a few good comments about how well it was organized.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I could take all of the credit, but I'd be better off taking. So it's about, you start with information, you then give clear instructions, you get a summary, and you can then...
So where are you taking us at the moment, Simon?
To Napkin. So this is
Napkin,
a free tool that I use. And
free?
So you can put in text, and then it comes up with a nice diagram.
That's cool. That's very cool.
That's the diagram which I used. I just put that into Canva, added a title and footer, and there we go. What I normally do is when I finish something in ChatGPT, I then say, please provide a summary suitable for input into Napkin AI.
And it knows how to do that,
Yes.
obviously.
I then paste that into Napkin AI, and then you can see this. If you mark the whole set, all the text, you get given a whole series of images. So if you mark the lot, press here, and
Fill up, I think.
okay.
There we go.
So you can see it's given lots of, so when ones like this, I don't think very helpful. This one here, this one's better.
Picking a hole.
This one's good. That's the one I used. This is a nice one in terms of matrix. Okay. It's giving, so again, if you were good at graphic designs at Canva, it's still going to take you quite a while to think about what it is you want to convey and then to create a nice graphic. Generally,
That's amazing.
I'll find one which is like and go with it. And then if you want more, it can generate more. So the step is, in this case, I used Notebook LM to gather information and analyze it. I created a briefing document. I then put that into ChatGPT, and following one of my magic commands, it then created the LinkedIn post. I then reviewed it. I then did some extra work outside of ChatGPT to humanize the content. But I asked ChatGPT to provide a summary, as you can see here, suitable for Napkin.
Yep.
And it did it. So again, it's more if you were briefing a person, just say, give me a summary, isn't that great? He said, give me a one-page summary for a board paper, or give me a half-page summary for a presentation. You then get what you want. And in this case, is it is so the better, the clearer the information, the clearer the instructions, the better the output.
It's pretty awesome. That's quite a cool little tool. And it's free. Is it like there must be limits on like how many times you can do it?
No, I mean, what it says is, it's free for now. So it's the free pro beta plan. So at some stage, the beta plan there'll be a subscription, and there'll be a free plan with more limited features. But for now, it's free, so use it. And
Use it. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
If and when they do introduce a paid plan, then decide, okay, well, what tier is suitable for you. And if you're only doing it occasionally, the free plan may still be enough. So I'm not here to sell anything. It's more about it. It's sharing some great tools that I use that I think are fantastic and which I use most days.
Yeah, for sure. So with DeepSeek, your article kind of went into, I guess, some of the security concerns around DeepSeek. Like what
when
does that kind of look like?
Your data goes to China. It can be accessed by the Chinese government. I mean,
anything that you put in as like a prompt or adding documents or anything, that all goes to like a Chinese server, basically.
Yes. With ChatGPT, I've got the same plan as you. You can set your privacy. So you uncheck the box, allow GPT to learn. So you know that your data is secure. There are no options like that in DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, yeah.
If you're using it for planning your holiday, well, perhaps if you're using it for any aspect of business, then there's a huge red flag. And then the point to note, which I put in my blog post, if an app is free, you are the product.
Yeah, that's the way it works, right?
If you're comfortable with that, fine, but just be aware of what that means. And I don't think it's at all sensible to have could be sensitive data leak, because you might say, well, I'll just start using it for these purposes. Well, what about, but you'll suddenly find yourself putting information that's more sensitive.
Yeah,
Don't
without
even start.
realizing.
So you can use a desktop version, and I'll have more information about that in just over a week's time. So if you're using the model but not on their platform, then that is safe, because you can even turn off the internet. But that's not for the faint-hearted. I think for now, be aware of it. Don't create an account. Don't use it. And another interesting observation myself was, well, how come there's all this fuss about DeepSeek? Okay, it is groundbreaking, but to what extent was all the publicity generated to you're creating a craze because you've flooded the internet with messages and what have you. So it's not that thing that's been particularly alarmist. I think it's been more realistic, because it's fine that it's free for now. But what's the business model of the company that's developed this? If you're free to have your data to the Chinese government, well, over you, but you have been warned.
Yeah, yeah. It's your own choice.
Yes.
Yep, for sure.
But this is a topical example of making good use of notebook LM, because I've skimmed read various articles, watched a few videos. Had you asked me a day ago, 2 days ago, can I give it succinct summaries to the pros and cons of DeepSeek, I would have been stumped. I've now got one, and I know it's based on solid data. It's not just a figment of my
I think that's like an aspect
imagination.
that people don't really talk about that much when it comes to AI, but it's the ability to like also learn vast amounts about specific topics in almost no time at all, you know? Like there's no, you have to read a whole book to kind of grasp the subject or go through, you can ask ChatGPT or whichever of these models to kind of take you through a learning program, and something like DeepSeek, it's only just been out for like a week, but being able to like take all of these sources of information, collate them, get some kind of document that you can read and understand
Yes,
is like so easy to gain a lot of knowledge in such a short span of time. Like you said
yes,
before, if you were trying to read all of those articles and watch the videos, you would only basically have consumed all of that knowledge by sometime next week
yes,
if you were doing it for like the full day or whatever.
yes,
But yeah, you've been able to amalgamate that, understand it within like an hour, basically.
yes,
And I think that's something that people don't necessarily always think about with AI. It's always like the generation side of things. It's like it can generate this for you, it can make this, but it also has this very cool ability to teach you massive amounts of things in a very short space of time. Because you can ask the questions and you can kind of go at your own pace. I think that's something, yeah, just bring it up because of how that kind of all came together there.
yes. Okay, great.
So I guess just a couple of closing questions for business owners that are still skeptical. What's the one practical step that they can take today to start exploring AI's benefits?
Well, I'd say get in touch. No, seriously, let me run through those two custom GPTs, the role plan and the ideal customer profile, and see how relevant it is to you and your company and your role. Because most people will just be overwhelmed.
Yeah,
And it's then about, let's start with something simple. Don't do everything at once. And if there's an interest to take things further, I can talk about the black belt training, which is 9 modules. I deliver those live remotely. People then get recording, and it's about taking it step by step. Start by learning the fundamentals and then using ChatGPT as your super cognitive assistant, and then start writing basic custom GPTs. It's about, as you were saying, it's automating tasks that are done on a regular basis, and you don't need to do them all manually. It's what you can delegate to, and it's both replicating, but it's better, faster, and easier. But there's another aspect. I had a good call with a coaching client a few days ago, and I was most impressed with what he was showing me. They started off with more of a mind dump and ended up with a very comprehensive growth strategy. So when I said to him, well, how long would it have taken you without ChatGPT? And the answer was very simple. I wouldn't have done it.
Because it would have seemed insurmountable.
It would have been an insurmountable, that it would have taken too much time. He would have ended up with a very long document that either he or someone else would need to make sense of. And what he ended up, something that was really very sound, but clearly laid out to give to his general manager and head of marketing for an informed discussion next week. That simply couldn't. So it's not just better, faster, easier is part of it. The more powerful part, the things that you wouldn't even think about doing, because it just far too much work.
Yeah, for sure. So what is a common aha moment that you see from some of your clients when they realize how AI can help them?
Well, it's just amazement.
Yeah.
And then excitement. And then as they start to use it for simple things, they're just so proud of what they've achieved, and then they're keen to learn more. And as you know from your experience, it's easy to, once in the right hands, it can be very powerful, and you don't yearn for the days where you have to do everything by hand, or it might be confusing. You don't need to.
Yeah.
To
not
write.
Manually doing anything.
Yes, those days are gone, and they're gone for good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So I guess last question before we kind of wrap up. But if you had to bet on one aspect of AI that will have the biggest impact on businesses in the next 5 years, what would it be? That 5 years is a big horizon. Put yourself out there.
Gosh, that's a tough one. AI robots. It is. I mean, but that's going to happen within 1 year. So the short answer to 5 years is I don't know, and no one knows, because what will happen in 4 to 5 years' time has not even been thought of now.
Yeah. I think one thing I would say is I think you probably get something that you don't need to do as much contextual mapping in the start. There would be one thing that you probably interact with that understands all these things, and you don't have to keep going back and telling it. I think that's probably more cohesive side of things, but that's to be determined.
Yes.
Probably going to be proved wrong. Qualifying that for 5 years from now.
Okay, well, we'll make a note to revisit this and
in 5 years.
Yes.
And see what it says.
Shake your head and say, "Oh." So
what an idiot.
The better response is that we have some idea about what we may get in the next year, very little idea beyond that. And part of it is because the people doing this work haven't thought about it, or they're bound to have some concepts.
Yeah.
But the main thing is it's going to get better, and the changes will be bigger and they'll happen faster. So, you really need to join the AI revolution now, enjoy the ride, and then be equipped to make good use of it.
Cool. So, where can people get in touch with you, Simon, to have a little bit of a play with the chats you showed us today and pick your brains about AI?
My LinkedIn profile is a good way to start. They can also contact me by phone, message, or WhatsApp, 021 329 537, which, if you can recall the days of numbers, that's 021 Fawkes, Fawkes.
Nice.
Which is really
easy to remember.
Precisely. And it's Fawkes, as in Guy Fawkes, of the family tree, to show my connection with Guy Fawkes, the conspirator, but I'm a far more peaceful individual.
Not setting off any fireworks. Or awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Simon. I really appreciated that.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, bye for now.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained some useful insights. If you found it helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit from it too. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find details to connect with today's guests in the show notes. And remember, the information shared here is for educational purposes only. For personalized support, reach out to a qualified financial advisor or appropriate professional. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on Building Sense for Life.